Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Between a Pod and a Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton.
And I'm Chris Kirkpatrick.
And I kind of sounded like Chris Hansen there.
A little bit.
I did watch some of the Predator show earlier, like clips on YouTube before I went to work. And they were just like, Chris Hansen, what? I was just here to talk. I'm a guidance counselor. I wasn't going to do anything.
So it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just like, what are you doing here? Well, you know what I'm doing here. You read my chats from like the last 3 months. You know exactly why I'm here. Not me, but the guy on the show. I always kind of thought that show was a little tricky. Like, I'm not defending the sexual predators. I'm just saying, like, were they really talking to kids? But no. But if you weren't distracting them from talking to real kids, they probably would have been. So
yeah.
It's so weird, the excuses they try. They're like, I was just joking. Like, oh, okay. Well, bye. Go ahead. Leave. Come on. Yeah. But this is not the Chris Hansen show.
No. There are some things that have been happening recently that I think you had said you wanted to bring up on the show today.
Yeah. A little bit of news. I think we could start covering some more. Not that we haven't. We've talked about things in the past, but more along the lines of like DC stuff, which still. I did want to throw out one little thing. I grew up, we talked about wrestling a little bit on here. I grew up loving professional wrestling and in the 90s mostly. And one of the announcers who's now over in the AEW Wrestling League, he just posted about a day or two ago that he had been diagnosed with skin cancer. So
really?
That's the wrong thing. Sorry. Jim Ross, who's been in wrestling for like decades. I just want to throw the picture up there. There's not a huge bit of news on that. It's just that we wish him well. He's gone through, years and years and years of announcing, and I grew up hearing his voice on my TV. So just hope he's doing well. And the first picture, go ahead.
No, the picture that you had shown, I believe about him, it was like on his ankle.
Yeah, I didn't save that one to show, but it was on his ankle, and I guess it had been bugging him for a while. Went to the doctor, got it checked out, and turns out it was skin cancer. He said most likely chemo, or not chemo, there are radiation treatments. So hopefully, it doesn't hold him down too much. I mean, not to say that like, oh, he's old, it doesn't matter, but still, it always matters. I hate seeing anybody. I was about to say, like, I saw the story about a guy that had cancer, but it was a TV show that I've been watching on Netflix. I recently renewed Netflix and instantly saw 2 shows that I was like, oh, yes, I love these shows.
Yeah.
But the first picture, I was going to do this a few weeks ago and forgot. It's another podcast. It's After Hours with the Rise Guys. And the Rise Guys are like a radio show, not here in North Carolina. They're a little bit south, down in Greenville, South Carolina. And I have listened to them for years, and they have a podcast after that, and they put it out. It's called After Hours. It's just those 2 guys talking about the same kind of stuff we talk about. Like, I think one episode was like, what's the most Southern snack foods, or this, or just random things like centered around their area, but they also talk about movies and TV and stuff. I wanted to plug it. Just to say, hey, not that too many people are watching this, like that they probably have a lot more viewers or listeners than we do, which no shame in that. They've been in the game for a lot longer. But yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Evidently we don't talk about snack foods enough.
Yeah. I wanted to show the picture again. The guy on the right, his name, like if I call him 9, is like his nickname, just the number 9. And I actually reached out to him to see if the 2 of them wanted to come on here to do an episode, and he was like, dude, I'll do it. So at least he has agreed to come on. Which would be great to talk to him. I know you're like, I have nothing like to say because I have no idea who you are. But I mean, they're pretty cool guys to get to know. I've met them in person a few times.
Okay.
And they're not bad people. They're pretty cool.
So you're working on the other guy then.
Yeah, I mean, well, I haven't talked to him in a long time. We were never like best friends or anything like that. Honestly, like there was another guy that was part of that show years ago who was no longer there, who was terminated from his position. I won't go into too much details, but he was driving drunk and crashed into a light pole. But I won't talk about that.
Wow.
But he says it was Ambien. So I don't know. He never got his job back. There was a lot of controversy behind that locally. And it was like, oh, well, I'm not here to trash anybody, but like whether or not it was Ambien or not, like I still, didn't have too much issue with him. The funny thing is, like, I did a version of a podcast with him. He had gotten fired and everything, and he was nothing to do. And I was like, hey, you want to do a show with me? And he's like, okay. And so I'm like, really? And so we did a show very, very shortly. It did not last very long at all. But, it was fun, I guess. We've already got a couple of comments coming in.
Great.
Where's Corey says, Heidi ho.
Hey, Corey.
I don't know. This is different. This little pop-up thing. I think I changed the theme, but I like it. I don't mind it. And then Jeremy Ledford. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to our show here. And glad you're here. Tell all of your friends right now if they don't tune in to not Facebook, sorry. We're only on YouTube this week. If they don't tune in right now, then you won't be their friend anymore.
That's a little severe.
Maybe.
Little bit severe.
I don't want to start off with like too many bad things or negative things, but I guess I don't want to end the news parts with sad news. So I'll go with the sad stuff first, I guess.
We'll just rip that Band-Aid right off.
We'll see this graphic here. Why is it not showing? It's not showing. There it is. So the situation this past week, Alec Baldwin fired a prop gun that killed a crew member on the set of his new film Rust, which I don't know. We normally don't talk about stuff like this on here.
No,
but it's entertainment news. I mean, we're not but we are a podcast. That was the worst joke I've ever told in my life, I think. But that's kind of a sad situation. I mean, and as the little headline says, like, legal experts weigh in like that Alec Baldwin might be able to be held liable for the tragic death because he, I think, serves as a producer as well. So it's their responsibility to make sure everything's 100% safe and everything. If that were not the case, then I don't know.
Right. I mean, I will say that regardless of what's going on with the whole thing, and there's a lot of drama in this story.
Yes.
I mean, number one, I feel bad for the people who ended up getting shot. Right. Nobody deserves to get shot when they're on the job.
I'm gonna throw her picture up really quick. She was actually the director of photography, like the camera person recording the film. Yeah,
it's crazy. I think that unfortunately, though, it seems like this film had already had a number of close calls. Right, there had already been, some misuses of prop guns, things that had not been handled properly. And I think they had a lot of cast members or a lot of crew who had walked off as well. Because of safety concerns and not getting paid. Oddly enough, my wife and I had talked about this just last night. It's like, if you're not paying your crew, it means there's a money problem. If there's a money problem, you're going to try to do something. You're going to cut out the CGI. You're going to try to do a live shot, right, with a round instead of, doing a CGI effect bullet. And so that's probably a lot of it. But, there are people that are in place to make sure that sets are safe, both for the actors and for the crew. And when people, don't follow the protocols, this kind of stuff happens. And I feel bad for Alec Baldwin. And at the same time, he is an executive producer on this movie. Ultimately, it's going to land on him to make sure that he keeps people safe. So,
and another little caption. This was from, I believe, a CNN post. It may have been a different Entertainment Weekly or something. I don't know where this came from. When I saved the image, I thought I screenshotted the actual source with it because I hate putting stuff up and not citing it. But it was either CNN or we'll just say source is Google. But as an executive producer, you're in a position of control and you can get prosecuted criminally. It's the equivalent of drinking and driving, meaning someone may not have intended to cause great harm, but they did do. And I mean, it's not like Alec Baldwin was like, I don't care. Oh gosh. But as an executive producer, if he, is he really at fault? I don't think so, because it's like he trusted he's not a gun expert, so he trusted the fact that the people that are supposed to be, he trusts their word. So
Right.
if someone made a mistake, it's not his fault, but to not double check and say, okay, go look at that again or do this again. Is he the only executive producer, and should he take all of the fall for this? I don't think he should.
No, and I think that a lot of blame can be put in the person who handed him the gun. I think that generally speaking, when it comes to a live round, right, of anything, generally there's somebody who is trained to handle this, and they're going to let you know, right, that I think that instead of it being the person who was trained to go and handle that gun, it was one of the associate producers who had not only handed Alec Baldwin the gun, but had said that the gun was cold.
Right.
Which I guess is set talk for it's safe. You're not going to hurt anybody with this thing. And as we find out, that was absolutely false.
And true, like as Corey asked a minute ago, how do you get live ammo and set? I don't think it was actually a live bullet, like a live round. I think it was a blank round, but even those are dangerous if you are too close in proximity because it still would have a little bit of projectile to it. And so
I've heard the same thing that even blanks produce shrapnel.
They do.
But this is shrapnel that went through that camera person and into another person behind them.
Right.
To me, that sounds like a bullet and not simply shrapnel.
I think there might be more to the story. I don't know. I haven't read too much into it. I did all this research right before work, so I was like, let me save a few things here. But apparently there were some other issues too about the director of photography, about some kind of like, not like a assassination, but like there was some kind of drama around, not that she was causing it, but complaints apparently. Like you said, there was some history of that film, that like some negativity and stuff. And I don't know. I don't think this was just a pure accident, but I don't think it was some big, huge, massive plot to kill a camera person. It's just crazy. Well, I guess we'll have to wait to see what comes next in the story.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big controversy for me is the fact that that so many of the staff had walked off the job, and so it left people who weren't qualified to go and operate things.
Right. And speaking of leaving a job, Ruby Rose is in the news again of now. Okay, when we played a clip, I deleted the clip off of the. I wish I would have saved it for like another week, because when we add in these video clips and images, they build up in this little space. And I was like, I don't know how many it'll let me hold before it starts weighing down. And then when I go through here, I seem unorganized when I can't find a specific one. But we mentioned it on the show a while back, one of our first video episodes, I think, where Ruby Rose at the end of her season 1, and she was like, oh, yeah, well, we felt like the character was finished and we couldn't do any more with it. So we just decided I'll just leave. Then that turned into, oh, well, I was hurt. And then that turned into something else. Every time she spoke about that show and her exit from the show, her story changed. Every single time it was different. And then lately she was like, oh, there was a hatred on set, and it was aggressive behavior, and it was hostile, and then Warner Brothers people have come out and said, no, you're absolutely lying. She was supposedly like a drama queen, a control freak. This is the way we're going to do it, not that way, and all this. So who knows what's going on? But there was a little. This is a quote from a spokesperson from Warner Brothers, I guess, and this was a CNN article because this is a statement to CNN. So despite the revisionist history that Ruby Rose is now sharing online aimed at the producers, the cast and crew, the network, and the studio, the truth is that Warner Brothers Television had decided not to exercise its option to engage Ruby for season 2 of Batwoman based on multiple complaints about workplace behavior that were extensively reviewed and handled privately out of respect for all concerned. And that was a spokesperson for, I believe, Warner Brothers. And At first I'm thinking I don't know who to believe, but I'm kind of siding with Warner Brothers on this one because I don't think that because if she was really that upset about her working conditions and was that angry about this hostility and all this endangerment and whatever it may be, why did she not say that in the beginning? Why was she like, oh well, it was the end of the road. Good luck to them. I love the show still. Tee hee, ha ha ha. No.
Well, and I mean, I think that, playing devil's advocate here for a second, Ruby Rose may have been under a contractual obligation about what she could say and when she could say it, right? Maybe at that point, she was only allowed to say something, right? Like that NDA clause Corey's talking about.
Yeah. And that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. But at the same time, it's like, just because you're under an NDA doesn't mean you necessarily have to seem so giddy and happy. You could be like, well, I mean, I left the show. What can I say? Let's talk about something else. You know what I mean? If it was me and I really felt that way, I wouldn't go, I'm so happy to have had the experience. No, I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, you know what? Right. I'm not on there anymore.
I think I really do feel like when it first happened, they were trying really, really, really hard to make it seem like it was an amicable decision and that Ruby was okay with it and the network was okay with it and that it really was all a part of their plan anyway, But if you watch season 2, you can tell that Ruby Rose leaving the character like put a big cannonball hole in the entire season. They had not planned on going forward without her. Right? I mean, they made her the paragon of courage, right? Because they really thought that she'd be a character that they could really build a franchise on. But here's my guess, is that there's been a lot that's been going on off camera, behind the scenes, that we're not privy to.
Right. I'm sure there's a little bit of truth. I mean, I'm not totally saying Ruby Rose is just completely lying, but I do find her comments a little suspect because she has changed. I know the NDA thing, okay, that's a good point. But for her story to change at all, I mean, I would understand if her story was the same consistently up until the NDA expired and then go, you know what? No. Okay, fine. But it's changed so much. And so I'm sure there's a little bit of truth to both sides. I'm sure that they probably got, annoyed with her. She got annoyed with them. She probably got scared once she got injured, because she did get injured in a stunt, and they probably thought like, well, I thought you were more professional than that. And she took that as hostile, and they thought, who knows?
It is interesting, though, that I have not heard of other people coming to her defense. Generally, you would think that if conditions were so bad on the show, that it wouldn't just affect Ruby Rose, that it would affect all the other people on the show.
Yeah, and I wish I had some of the screenshots of some of the cast members who spoke out about it recently, because there have been a couple, and I don't remember exactly who said what, but it was generally along the lines of, Ruby Rose, you're lying, or you're exaggerating, or something. None of them that I've seen have come to her defense at all. Nobody, not even actors or co-stars, nobody, not even like an assistant that got coffee, like none of them. And so I think that says something. Another little piece, I don't have a ton of news articles or anything, but fun little neat things that I found that would be fun to talk about. I want to close out this segment or whatever with 2 movie trailers we've talked about before, but I also want to show before that, Flash Season 8, Barry finally gets gold boots.
I know. It's like the internet has exploded. Gold boots.
Right.
The whole season can suck, but at least his shoes are on point.
And I think with this image here, that is probably the most comic accurate live action Barry Allen we've seen.
Right.
Well, except for maybe the 90s one, but like this version of Barry Allen, that's the most comic accurate. Like so far away from like the season 1, like maroon type, more maroon than red, with the red emblem and everything. That's such a like multiverse away from where we are now. I'm excited, but I also think that might mean the end of the show. Like finally he's 100% full on Flash, gold boots, white emblem, like chin straps back, tight suit that looks, like a comic book suit. Like, is that like the sign of the end?
I don't know. I feel like the writing has been a sign of the end. And I've held on for dear life for the Flash. I'm a fan, but my God, the writing has been poor. At least the last 2 seasons,
Yeah.
borderline unwatchable. But at least the shoes are awesome.
The shoes are awesome.
Right.
I was happy to see the chin strap back. He just looked weird without the chin strap, and it seemed to me like his identity was more obvious. Of course, we know who he is, so of course we're going to say, "Oh, you can tell that's him." But if I were to see Grant Gustin in real life, not knowing who he was, and then see the Flash in real life, not knowing who he was, I probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. I will say that if I have a choice between who plays Flash, whether it's Ezra Miller or whether it's Grant Gustin, I prefer Grant Gustin's portrayal. And I realize that's because I've had, 7+ seasons to get to know him. But I really feel like he's embodied the character, 100%. I'm still very excited about the Flash movie.
Yep. And funny you mentioned that, which we both know this is coming.
Right.
But I have the Flash trailer or the teaser or whatever you want to call it.
Sweet.
I actually have it here to play. We haven't played a clip in a while, so I don't know how the sound is going to come across, but we're going to give it a shot. It's kind of long. It might be 2 or 3 minutes, but I thought we could go ahead and play that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Tell me something. You can go anywhere you want, right? Any timeline, any universe. Why do you want to stay and fight to save this one? You change the future. And you change the past.
Are you in?
Okay, so did that sound okay? Could you hear?
It sounded great.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I haven't
really
played
good.
a clip in a while, so I wasn't sure how that was going to come across. I got excited, and I know
I do
you
too.
mentioned
Man.
the last couple of weeks, Ezra Miller controversy, choked, whatever. But I don't know. I'm going to leave that part out of my opinion of the actual trailer because, personality, like personal life, whatever they do aside, like that movie looks awesome.
It's great. I think that the original suit that Ezra Miller wore for the Justice League movie, not my favorite. The one made of the space shuttle tiles. Yeah. So
Good, awesome.
yeah. So yeah. Number one, we need to play more trailers. I think that's the point that we're getting across.
That's why I was like nervous to do it because I know when the first time we had Lee Newton on, we played a song of hers and it came out all choppy and weird, but apparently this way it works.
Yeah,
so,
it played great. I will say that I am so excited that we are getting a legit Flashpoint movie.
Yeah, I mean that. Oh my gosh, I knew Michael Keaton was going to be it. We've all known that for a long time.
Yeah,
but when you saw that bat cowl laying on the ground, and then you saw, which I think that's what it was, and then you saw Michael Keaton walking towards him, like you see the back of him, but still you know who it is. They're in like the '89 Batcave, and then he rips the cloth. That has to be the '89 Batmobile. Has to be. What really interested me was taking the lightning bolt stencil and spray painting yellow over black. And then there was another image that wasn't, I don't know if it's in the trailer or not, but it was a red suit, spray painted lightning bolt, but it was a Batman suit that was painted over. So that just shows there's going to be multiple Flashes. And you could see too in the trailer, you have current Ezra Miller, and then you had long-haired version of Ezra Miller behind him. And then you had a girl off to his side. Like, there's all these people. And he's asking Michael Keaton, are you in? Like, what? Who else is going to be in this movie?
Right.
I know Ben Affleck's going to be there.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely it's supposed to be a version of Supergirl, I think.
Mm.
in there
That's
as
who
well.
that is. I think that's who
So-
that girl was beside him was Supergirl.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be really, really good. And we've needed a legit Flash movie. We've had so many incarnations of Superman, right? But we've waited this long for Flash. So
And
I'm
I
just
don't
hoping
know.
it's good.
I hope so too. I don't know if anybody will complain, but like in the first part of the trailer, you see him coming through what I assume is the past, the moment we've seen on the Flash TV show a million times. Let's go back in time, save Mom from Thawne. Like, I don't know if it's going to be Eobard Thawne as the villain, but I know that was the setup of the idea because you see the woman, you see him like, you can go anywhere you want. Where would you want to go? Like, oh, let's save Mom. Like, obviously. But seeing that suit when he walks by, it looks more like Grant Gustin's suit.
Yeah.
Because he had to be inspired, like touching him, like, ooh. Then they realize they're petting each other. Like, okay, this is awkward. But it's a more solid suit instead of like this weird, like, armor that was like tied together with wire. That looked too weird to me. But the part that people I think might complain about is like the CG lightning bolts going all the way through it that are like always there. Looks a little weird, but I don't think it's that bad.
No, and maybe they're going to explain that this is a suit that he designed or that's been created to help him to travel through time. That might be the reason.
Good, Corey. Are they going to CGI Adam West into it? That would be amazing. I mean, we got Burt Ward in Crisis. Holy crimson skies of death. So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll go that far as to put Adam West into it, but oh, you're the Flash. I want to help you. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, who knows? But I'm excited. When I saw that trailer, I was just like, and it's not technically a trailer, it's more just a teaser because they're still in production, but it's amazing. I just can't.
If you were concerned about the movie absolutely sucking, and then you watch that, it gives you some hope, right? The fact that it's going to be, hey, potentially good. And again, I think Flashpoint is the story when it comes to Flash.
Yeah, we have to.
I'm so glad they're jumping in with both feet.
And I wonder if he still has any of those hot dogs in his pocket.
Well,
from when he stopped time before.
If you've seen that costume, there's no real pockets on there.
No, but he could probably materialize it from the Flash ring or something like that.
Maybe
because he does have the Flash ring.
Hiding hot dogs in his Flash ring. That would be interesting.
He could. Another trailer I wanted to play real quick since that one worked so well was the Batman.
Okay, let's see it.
Which is kind of cool because this Batman, how cool would that be if this Batman was also in Flash? But let's take a look at the Batman trailer.
All right.
Police! Hands up! Stay still! Get out of here!
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning. I've been trying to reach you. Find the gun! This is a powder keg, and Ritter's the match.
I can take care of myself.
If this continues, it won't be long before you've nothing left.
I don't care what happens to me.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Whoa! Take it easy, sweetheart. Hear everything they say, ain't you?
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
I'm vengeance. What's black and blue?
Wow.
My gosh, that's great.
See,
I think we're
yeah,
two
when
for two.
when you first hear about like, oh, look who's gonna play Batman, like you may as well have Justin Bieber playing Batman. Who, you know what? But that looked awesome. I gotta
Right.
say that.
I'll be honest and say the first time that I heard that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman, I said, "What is Batman going to sparkle?"
Right? Awesome.
I think this shows, just like the Flash trailer, that anybody who has doubted Robert Pattinson that he could pull off the role, I think they just need to, eat some crow, give the guy a chance. I think it's great. Plus the fact that we're going to get Catwoman, which I think is fantastic.
Corey thinks he saw him sparkle in the trailer.
I don't think maybe there might have been some sparks and
Maybe.
definitely some fire, but no sparkling. And I think I think that we're getting, the grittier Batman, the kind of the Batman that we really that I personally really liked with Christian Bale's, Batman Begins.
Yeah.
It really seems like they're keeping it sort of in that realm.
And I'm kind of pretending that this is Ben Affleck when he was younger. Maybe it is. I don't know, but it's probably just another alternate Earth Batman, which I love this idea. Like everybody's like, oh, there's too many Batman. There's too many this. Well, we're seeing that with Spider-Man. Like there's a multiverse. They're openly talking about it now. And so I think that's awesome. Like you could do a different Batman every year and it would still be fine because, well, it's a multiverse. That happens. Comic books did it. Why can't the movies? I think it works. I think studios get too nervous about that. They're like, oh, they're going to get confused and not understand. No, the people that are really here to see these movies, the core fans of these characters, are going to get it no matter what.
They are.
And I'm super. And Catwoman, awesome. I think, she does look a little bit, she reminds me a little bit too much of the Halle Berry Catwoman, which we won't want to talk about that too much.
Other than it absolutely sucked.
Yeah, I mean, she looked okay. Just the image of her as Catwoman, okay, fine. So this girl looks kind of like her, but I mean, I'm not going to judge her yet because she seemed awesome in the trailer. I think it's hard to compare the original, well, not the original, but the 1989 Catwoman, Batman, like that whole thing, like that movie.
I mean, I think that Michelle Pfeiffer did such a fantastic job.
Well, I said, yeah. Sorry, I said 89. I meant Batman Returns.
Right.
But still, yeah.
Yeah.
She did so good.
Really, absolutely. But I think this lady, I think she seems like she looks the part. So I'm going to give her a chance. Again,
Yeah.
I feel like both for the Flash trailer as well as for the Batman, they both look really, really good.
They do.
Yeah.
I hope it's not one of those things where we've seen this a lot with movies where they show you so many great things, but then the movie sucks. Like they show you the best 2 minutes of the entire movie cut together in the trailer, and then they blow.
I mean, I understand. Like the whole idea of a trailer is to get you hyped up for what's coming, right?
Is Catwoman played by Kristen Stewart? No. But I did read some rumors that she was going to be in the movie, or maybe in a sequel later on, playing a different character. I'm just like, really? If they do that and then get the other guy that wasn't him, like I don't know the characters' names in Twilight, but like the werewolf kid, if they got him to play like the Riddler, like really, like that would be. I mean, it'd be kind of funny.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. And he turns into a wolf. Like, wait a minute, wrong movie. Hold on.
Right.
I did like the Riddler, the question mark in the coffee. I think that was awesome. That was a nice nod.
I think it's a good idea to kind of give Joker a little bit of a break. We've gotten a lot of Joker over the years, and we've really only seen the Riddler once.
And Jim Carrey, he did an okay job at it, but
I thought Jim Carrey did a good job with the Riddler in a rather forgettable, mediocre movie.
Yeah, so that's not saying much.
No. I really act sort of like the Val Kilmer and the what's his name? The worst version of Batman ever. George Clooney.
Yeah.
The Kilmer and Clooney versions of Batman, in my opinion, are the worst that Batman has ever been.
The Riddler works as a barista. I mean, apparently.
Yeah. Clearly he gets his coffee, to order or he makes it himself with question marks in it. But I like it. I think that both of those trailers really do. They really do tease us a little
They
bit.
really do.
They didn't disappoint in that area. So I'm excited.
And I think we need to start playing more, like you said, more movie trailers because those work great. They come across good, and it's fun to talk about movies. Now, I don't know as far as using the trailer footage, if that's allowed, but from my understanding, under fair use rights, review trailers, that's okay. I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out. If YouTube flags this episode later on, it says content, then we'll have to maybe re-edit and repost the episode. But we'll see what happens.
Yep. Sometimes it's better to ask for for forgiveness instead of permission, right? So
we'll figure it out pretty soon because Warner Brothers probably won't play around with copyright strikes. So we'll see what happens. But I'm excited for both of those.
I am too.
I think Flash is coming. I don't know when because they're still in production on that thing. But we see that Batman's coming in March, and that's exciting. I think Flash might be December actually. I don't know. It's soon. I think. I want to say it's this year. Ghostbusters is coming soon. I should have got a trailer for that too. Jeez.
I will say that whenever there's a remake of a movie that I've loved from my childhood, I cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I'm like, they're going to screw it up. And then I won't be able to look at the original one the same. However, I really like the take. This is not just like the gender bent bastardization version they did that was more comedy and less serious Ghostbuster.
Mm-hmm.
This one really looks like they decided to take it. This is focusing on the kids.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the next generation of Ghostbusters. I think it looks really, really good. So I'm excited.
I watched that trailer again the other day, and I thought to myself, would it be in bad taste? I mean, his family was on board. I'm sure fans would still think it was in bad taste. What if Harold Ramis's character came back as a ghost and they had to bust him? I mean, it would probably be in bad taste. But if everybody was on board and thought, yeah, that'd be great, he would love that. Why not? But I don't think that would go over well with the entire audience.
Not all ghosts need to be busted.
He could be like Slimer and just
I don't think that Egon. Well, you're right. I think like Slimer. I don't think that Egon's going to come back and terrorize people.
Or maybe Egon's at peace and he doesn't need to come back because he's not there to finish anything. He's not got any hang-ups or loose baggage. But it'd be kind of cool to see the ghost fly in like CGI, take old stock audio clips and put in there hey guys, and then have him be sucked in a vacuum by accident. I don't know. It'd be, or at least have a picture of him somewhere.
I know that I really, really enjoyed, Ghostbusters, both 1 and 2. I think they're both equally fantastic.
Yeah.
You can't say that about a lot of shows or movies, right? Mm-hmm. That you get 2 of them and they're both amazing.
Yeah, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Gosh, now we're going to watch the Titanic, and we're going to review it after. I'll see you in 4 hours. No.
Here we go. Yikes.
But yeah, I actually realized that's on Netflix. So if you want to watch Titanic, you can go to Netflix right now and watch it.
I already know how it ends.
3 hours and 15 minutes, whatever that movie is. It's ridiculous.
Boat goes in the water.
And I laugh every time.
Yeah. And
I feel bad because I'm laughing at something that actually happened, but I'm not laughing at all the torture of real people. I'm just laughing at the cheesiness that the movie, went in and did.
I mean, we all watched it, right? Let's be honest. If you were alive during that time, you watched the movie, right?
Yeah. Of course, Jeremy's talking about Ghostbusters, saying he loves that Paul Rudd is in it. I love Paul Rudd. I think.
Who doesn't love Paul Rudd?
He used to be goofy and only in comedies, which it's still comedies, but
right,
playing a goofy comedy character who's I want to get a girlfriend and have some sex with her. I'm Paul Rudd. But he's grown so much as an actor, I think, and has such a range of other things he does now. And I love him. I think he's great.
I forgot that he was in that movie.
Yeah, I did too for a minute because this movie was filmed 20 years ago, and then they were just waiting to release it for the last 18 years, and finally they're getting to do it. I think we'll see.
I will say that My Heart Will Go On, that song that blew up because of that movie. Whenever I hear it, I like groan on the inside.
Yeah, I used to kind of like antagonize my ex-girlfriend with that. Not that song, I didn't sing it, but I would like when we were like in, I don't know, shopping together or like going to antique stores, whatever we would be doing together, even sitting on the couch watching a movie. And she would like reach over maybe and grab my head, whatever, little tiny thing. I'm just like, doo-doo-doo. I'll never let go. She smacks me. Which was weird because like I was like, she would be into that. She likes that movie, right? And then it annoyed her so much, and that's why I did it. I was like, I'll never let go. We would be, I think we went to the beach one year and we were in the ocean, and I'm like, we're in the ocean. I'll never let go. And then she like pushes my head under the water. I'm like, come on, I would have shared the plank with you. But
yeah, that is absolutely something that my wife and I would do.
Yeah, and it's a fun time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the clips we have.
All right. Well, so let's talk about, let's say, Titans.
We wanted to, I know last week we mentioned we wanted to talk about heels. So we could either do that or save that for another episode.
I mean, we've got plenty of time, right?
Yeah,
so
we've got plenty of time.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
We can go ahead with heels since it got cut off last weekend.
Yeah.
A little bit. I loved it. I mean, I loved that show from the minute I saw the first, images on the screen. I'm just like, this is amazing.
So, Stephen, I know that you've shared that you have a thing for, 90s professional wrestling. And honestly, that's really kind of like late 80s, early 90s. That's the same time when, my brother and I really got into professional wrestling and watching it a lot, along with, Ninja Turtles and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why, like at that point in my life, we were, like just super captivated by it. I think it might have been that I was in that, 8 to 13-year-old age range, kind of at that time in my life. But I remember just really, really getting caught up in it, right? Really being excited by it. And I think there's a part of your brain where you're going like, that it's fake.
Oh yeah.
But you just don't care.
Yeah, and I remember like I never had the moment or the Santa Claus or Easter Bunny or Tooth Fairy moment with wrestling, like a lot of kids do. They're like, wrestling isn't real. And like I never had that because I had this logic in my head, even at like 11 years old. I was like, wait a minute. So if you're telling me that guy's got dropped on his head every night for the last year, he would be dead. Right now, he would be in the ground. That would not be, happening. So I knew at an early point that like there's no way I'm sure they they do get hurt, they do get injured, accidents happen, but like, and even like the smacks, chops and hits, like a lot of that hurts. Yes. But I knew that like some of these big, huge moves were not like as impactful as they wanted you to believe.
Yeah. I will say that I watched this one. Yeah, we did have a lot of free time. I will say that what drew me to this one was the fact that Stephen Amell was involved in it. Right, loved him as Green Arrow, and I had a feeling that I would probably enjoy anything that he did. And I'll be honest, heels did not disappoint. And if you've been on the fence and you're like, I'm not really a wrestling fan, I don't think I'll like it. You don't need to be a wrestling fan.
No.
To enjoy heels.
Because the parts that you kind of need to know, which you don't really need to know much about wrestling, but if you don't, they kind of fill in those gaps for you. They explain like what's going on. They treat it like, okay, the people that are wrestling fans are going to appreciate this, and the people that aren't are going to understand it. So it works. I remember seeing some comments where someone called a moment. They're like, this is going to happen. His wife, who I forget her name now, but Jack's wife, they were like, oh, she's going to cheat on him. She's going to cheat on him. It's written on the walls. You could see, but she never did in that season. Now we know at the end of the season, for spoilers for everybody, they were not on good terms by the end of it. But that whole sleeping around with someone else, like that didn't happen yet. But who's to say that it won't? If they get a season 2, hopefully they need to get a season 2. And that guy that plays Wild Bill, I loved it when he, basically, crapped his pants at the end of the show. That was a funny moment. It was like comic relief in a very dramatic situation. But the thing about that show I loved was they would do it to where you knew what was going to happen. You're like, I know what's going to happen. And then boom, they would switch it on you.
They would.
And that finale, like the last episode, did that so many times. They had like 6 different things going on. And you think you know what's going to happen each time in each situation, but they all turn out different than you thought they might. Which I loved that. They keep me on the edge of my seat. And it's like, I love when it makes you think it's predictable, but then they trick you into, because you think you're so smart. And that was a play off of wrestling too, because wrestling fans, I still read comments and am in groups that I discuss it with people. And they're like, oh, I know what's going to happen. I'm so smart. I can understand wrestling. I know wrestling. But then they switch it. And they're like, well, they just knew that we all found out, so they changed it. And that's kind of what that finale did, and what the show in general did. That plays off the wrestling audience and kind of like pokes fun at that. But at the same time, it's just, I don't know. It's so good.
I really like it. I think for me, what was interesting was sort of this whole play on wrestling being fake.
Yeah.
Right? That, part of me kind of wondered, like, what was really fake? Are the lives they're pretending to live in public? Because they had to be on their best behavior, right? You live in a small town, everybody knows your business, and so they would try to watch how they acted so they wouldn't get judged by the community, and it seemed like things that were happening in their real lives were getting acted out in the ring, and vice versa, right? People that were supposed to be, good guys would be real jerks in real life, and people who were jerks in real life were seen to be like the hero in the ring. I thought that was a really interesting turn of things.
It really was, and that kind of, it plays off people, just humanity in general, and it plays off wrestling again.
Yeah,
they cover so much, and they're able to really show that, and it works out. I like how, like, it played off the whole idea of like, don't meet your heroes, because it's like Ace is like the biggest, like, oh yeah, I'm such a big, but in real life he's like the biggest asshole you would ever meet. And it's like, wait a minute, that's why they just say don't meet your heroes. This guy's a jerk. But and it kind of shifts back and forth, and it just, you never know what's going to happen next.
Well, but, and Stephen Amell, the older brother, he publicly he seems to have it all together, right? Yeah. He's got this wrestling federation. He's in charge. He's got this family that everybody looks up to. And as we kind of delve in deeper, we realize, things are pretty screwed up, and he's as messed up as his father ever was.
Yeah, I love that, because they started showing flashbacks towards the end of the season, because his dad kind of just snapped one morning after like mowing the lawn and just killed himself, and you see him like going through the same things, snapping at people, and then you see him standing on that porch a few times at his mom's house, like, and you're like, oh no, don't do it, but like he's living that life. He's becoming his father. And I think he's scared of that. But he's also like, this is all I've ever known. Like, I have to do this. I think part of him wants to make his dad proud, but at the same time, part of him wants to be better than his dad.
I think that it's true that we, whether we like it or not, we can't help but kind of following in our parents' footsteps. Either we end up being like them, or we have to learn from them and be better,
or we kind of do what they do just to spite them and be better at it than them.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because I'm writing, well, I haven't started writing yet, but I have this movie idea for that same idea of becoming your parents and trying to fight against that, or being happy about it. It's I'm actually going to be working with Todd from Northwood Pie, and we're going to write it together, which he's been very, very busy, so I know it won't happen anytime soon. It might come out in theaters in 2072.
Okay.
Who knows?
Well, I'll wait for the trailer.
We'll have to get them on here again and like really push them. Like, hey, when are you going to write that movie with me? We're not friends anymore if you don't write it today. That would be abusive and terrible. But the ending of Heels, I really liked it. Like I said, I didn't see it coming. When they showed Wild Bill taking the drugs, I thought he was going to snap and kill someone. I thought that he was like, I'm going to kill you, and actually hurt somebody for real. That's what I saw coming. I think that's what they wanted us to think. Because you see him walking out and he starts getting dizzy. You see his perspective and he's dizzy and falling. But then he's fine. All he does is just crap in his pants. That's it. So I like that twist.
Yeah, I think that Wild Bill, the only real consistent thing about him was that he was self-destructive.
Yeah.
And that he was going to, serve himself in the end. The idea that at the end of the whole thing, he ends up being the person who comes through, right?
Yeah, he saved the day.
Yeah, he really did. Had he not done what he did, Jack and the rest of them would have been humiliated in public, right?
Corey, always with a great comment. They did not go there, but they did. I believe they did have a match and a ring on Lee and You.
Right.
And then, of course, Stephen Amell's character gets killed in the ring, and then they put him in the Lazarus pit, and then, gosh, that'd be a weird crossover. Yeah. But yeah, Wild Bill, you really hate him at the beginning, and rightfully so. But by the time it ends, like, you really love him. And
he set up Wild Bill is the ultimate heel in real life.
Yeah.
And a celebrity, people recognize him and know him. He's well off, but the reality is he's miserable and hates his life, and he's self-destructive, and yet he becomes the ace at the end.
It's crazy. I mean, because I really thought like he was going to get really high on those drugs and really screw everybody over. But he doesn't. And I love how Michael O'Malley's character, and Michael O'Malley is so unrecognizable. Like I said, I grew up watching him as like a TV show host on Nickelodeon.
Right.
And he just had a little like 90s hairstyle. It's like, I'm Michael O'Malley. And then now he's bald with a huge white beard, and he really looks like an evil, evil person. And you think he's going to get in there and ruin the day, but no, he gets taken care of. And that's awesome. I think Wild Bill's characters got more to it. I think there's going to be more layers that we see next time if there is a season 2. Hopefully there is. I think they planted a seed with the whole drug use. And I think it'll get to the point where it's going to get ridiculous and become a problem. And that's something they have to deal with. Because now they're finally on the same page. They trust him. They're friends. They love each other. They're all great. And then boom, he's going to throw it all away.
Right.
There's at least a potential for that drama there, which I like. I love how they planted those seeds.
They did. I feel like the only drawback is they did such a great job of tying up so many of the loose ends in the show. Like I had a real sense of conclusion. It does make me wonder where they would go with a season 2. I'm sure they will find a way to make it happen. But that is certainly something that I'm curious about.
Definitely, because that show, if it doesn't get a season 2, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah.
It
definitely deserves one.
I don't know why, but to me, I got super sucked into that show quicker than I did with Arrow the first time I watched it. I don't know what it is. I guess because I grew up more liking wrestling than I did comic books. And that's really what drew me into that show initially. But I don't want to say that that's a better show than Arrow was overall, but I was more excited to see it than I was Arrow for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can really compare the two, right? They're not related to me at all. I think that Heels is much more adult. I think that Arrow is, the darker tale. The only real comparison between them is Stephen Amell.
Really,
they're really two very different shows, and I think that I was worried that Stephen Amell may not be able to pull off a convincing Southern accent, but
he does a good job.
Great. Yeah,
I felt the same way when I first watched The Ranch, the series on Netflix. Ashton Kutcher. He's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm Ashton Kutcher. Here, you got punked," all that stuff, and it's like, okay. And then the first time I watched The Ranch, they had these Southern accents. Well, maybe not Southern. I think maybe they're in like
Montana.
Montana, so that's not like
Yeah.
southern, but it's that country, like that.
It's
that
that
same
it's that
essence.
western kind of drawl.
It's still that same essence of like a southern type, character or person. But the first time I heard that accent, I'm like, ugh, and I turned it off. But then I gave it another chance. I was like, wow, these characters are really good. Like they really do a good job with this. And so, and Sam Elliott, come on. I love Sam Elliott. Get him on the show. Well, boys, I like what. No, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that impression. But yeah,
it's a good show. I find it more sad than good.
It is.
It really is. They don't have like a happy moment in that entire show.
No, because like they have a baby, it's like yay, but then it's like the first time he gets the first girl pregnant, and some people are excited, some people are upset. Then she has a miscarriage, and it's like, Jesus, did you really just do a miscarriage story? Like that's depressing. Like, stop it. It really keeps you down. But
I know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It is a sad series, but
it's a good story though.
Yeah, but it does have kind of like a twisted, sarcastic humor. It's certainly different than a lot of shows where things always end on a happy note, right? It really is a tragic kind of story.
I think that's what I loved about The Ranch so much, is that there are so many down points that's what life is. Like down endings, down like bad things, and just how you get through those things. And that's why that show was so relatable, I think. I never ran a farm or a ranch or anything.
Steven, that's a very optimistic outlook on life, right there.
I mean, it's like, oh, I hate this, but at least I can make fun of my friends and family and kick them when they're down and then help them get back up so I can do it again.
Well, I mean, gosh, I really do feel like sometimes you can count on family to, be sarcastic, and they know all your baggage, right? They'll call you out on it. And that's definitely what we see in that story is like, they're tough on each other and they laugh at each other. And, sometimes in those moments, it's like life sucks, but let's at least have a beer. That seems like,
And I noticed when I was watching that show the first time, I was like, I want a beer too. Like I was like having one with them or something like that, or something depressing would happen. I'm like, man, I need a drink, just from watching it. But yeah, that was a good show. Such a good show. So if you haven't watched that show, I didn't plan on talking about that. It just kind of happened. But if you guys haven't seen it, go right now and steal your friend's Netflix password. And pay for your own Netflix,
right?
Or buy. I think they might have a DVD, and just go watch the show. It's a good show, and watch Heels because that's an amazing show. And if you haven't already, go watch the season finale of Titans because how great was that show?
So I know that the Titans is sort of controversial. Some people want the comic accurate version of Titans, right?
Corey.
I remember the Titans. No, but I really do feel like that's part of the challenge is that you're either a fan of them from the comic books or you really love the Teen Titans version, from the TV show, the animated version.
Mm-hmm.
I like this grown up, grittier version, kind of darker tale of this group. So I enjoy it. I think probably the biggest gripe that I've heard people have about Titans in general has been the idea that it's been very Batman centric, right?
Too much Gotham. Yeah.
Too much Gotham, right? Whether it's Red Hood, whether it's Robin, whether it's Nightwing, whether it's Bruce Wayne, who never becomes Batman. We've really focused a lot on Gotham.
Yeah.
And even kind of sidelining some of the other major characters, right? Like they waited until halfway through the season to finally bring Raven and Donna back.
I think that worked. A lot of people hated that. They're like, "Where's Raven? Where's she at?" Like, I'm just give the other characters time. Everybody complains too much Batman, too much Beast Boys.
Oh no!
It's all good. I think my microphone fell off its little thing, but I caught it.
All right.
But yeah, everybody was complaining about like this character or this character not getting to do anything, and I get it. Like Beast Boy didn't get to do a lot. Connor didn't get to do a lot.
He did
but
Commander.
Yeah, well, he did several times, and apparently he was very good at it. But well, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
He tapped into his Lex side, which is great because he was evil, and then we find out he really did sabotage the ship. Like he did it intentionally.
I had expected Blackfire to blow up and be pissed off. Like that seemed to be more in line with her character, and that she said, I don't care. I thought that was a twist that I didn't see coming. Like I had expected her to go like full Super Saiyan crazy and blow everything up. And instead she's sort of like, if I had been in his position, I would have done exactly the same thing.
She wanted to break another bed, was what she wanted.
Right.
She wasn't quite ready to leave that just yet.
No. I think that that was interesting to me. Mm-hmm. I'd kind of waited the entire season for her to essentially become the villain. And instead, she really didn't. Instead, I really feel like she kind of brought out an edgy side of Connor that we hadn't seen before.
And I liked that. People complained about his character, that he didn't get to do anything, that he was left behind when he could have just like punched Crane to begin with, or Jason, or anybody. And it's true.
Right.
But then you don't really have a story. You can't just go like, well, get Superboy to do it.
Yeah. I do feel like Superboy had essentially become like tech support.
Yeah. I think they could have had a better balance.
They could have. But it is certainly a side of the character that we don't get to see a lot, right? Mm-hmm. That generally speaking, he's a character that jumps into the action and punches stuff, and it's very aggressive with his abilities. And in this case, we see him being more analytical, more problem solving, and I think that kind of by him stepping back a little bit, it did allow some of the other storylines to kind of work themselves out.
Yeah,
I did enjoy. I think some of my favorite moments of the entire season. I really liked seeing the evolution of Jason Todd into Red Hood. I thought that was really great. From being what I honestly think was a betrayal by Bruce Wayne, removing him as Robin, I think that set him on the path to look for another mentor.
Definitely.
And lo and behold, there comes Crane, kind of preying on his fears and insecurities. And, Crane, who kind of sets him up to go and rush in like he always does, and gets himself, murked by the Joker, and then only to be brought back in the Lazarus pit and played like a fill by
all the way to the end.
Yeah. And so I found it to be quite pitiful,
Yeah, and I don't know. To me, Jason, he did a great job. He's a great actor, but he always seemed too small. Like he just seemed like a little kid, and I never got over that. I mean, I don't think it hurt the character too much. It was just weird seeing him be like this tall, and then like Beast Boy's like this tall, and it's like, really? But I think he did a great job. And I love the idea that like he tried to get redeemed, and at least in Dick's eyes, at least he was redeemed. I think Dick was like, you know what, I get it. Nobody else liked him, but Bruce, and we find out Bruce and Jason kind of like come back together, and like they're back together, I guess. And not really back. He's not Robin again or anything, but he's gonna stay Red Hood, I think. But I mean, it was nice to see that. Like he had that closure with everybody and that redemption with everybody except the rest of the Titans. And, we see that most of the people that Jason killed came back to life with the big finale, which I don't want to jump straight to that, but I mean, that was such an awesome moment where they essentially take the Lazarus pit and throw it in the sky and make it into a storm. And then it rains Lazarus pit. Like, how cool was that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No, I never could. I didn't think that was possible, which, well, in as far as the reality of the show itself, none of that is possible. But like, I've never heard of anybody like making it rain Lazarus pit. So that was awesome. But the part that bugged me was, why did they not scrape Hank off the wall and put him on the ground outside and then let it rain onto him?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know as if there was much of Hank to bring back.
I mean, there was still like brain matter. I mean, just a little bit, even an eyeball or like a piece of a fingernail, like anything probably would have worked.
Right. I think that at that point, you know, he might end up coming back in Doom Patrol.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think not that like they would have had to have the, because I know the actor left. I know that's why he got killed off. But I think it still would have been like, oh, okay, Hank, you're like, yeah, that's me. I'm happy. I'm gonna go live with Don now up in Connecticut. We're gonna raise sheep together. Anything like that. They could have left him off the show and still had him alive. I just felt like it was weird. But if Hank came back, then Jason Todd would be like, oh, what, you guys want to go play baseball? Like, and it would have like completely ruined everything that he went through.
Right.
It would have
I think that you know, the fact that Hank died, I think that it made the separation between Jason and the Titans something that he could never get back, right?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and I think that what Dick ultimately told him is, I forgive you, but you're never going to be a Titan again.
Yeah, never.
And I thought, you know, isn't that the whole thing about, you know, I forgive you, you know, I forgive you, but I don't forget. You
exactly.
know, I don't want you to die. I just don't want you to be with us, right? And I think there was at least that kind of resolution in the story in regards to Jason Todd.
Yeah.
One of the characters for me that I really enjoyed a lot more than I thought that I would is the character of Stephen Crane.
Yeah.
I really, some people kind of laughed at his hippie-esque kind of style. I found him to be far more clever and devious than I thought that he was capable of. But I liked that really manipulative, intellectual, you know, he's playing 3D chess and they're all playing tic-tac-toe, right?
Right. I think it works because it's like, if that character were to be, you know, a real person in today's world, that's who he would be.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be this guy with like a potato sack on his head and going like, I'm gonna get you. Like, he would be a twisted, manipulative, confused, lost, angry person.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how they played him out. The idea that he progressively grows crazier as the series goes. I mean, up to the point where he starts killing people for no reason, and then ultimately ruins his face with a razor.
He must really love yogurt.
Clearly.
I mean, the guy was going to give him the yogurt cup anyway. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to, you don't have a spoon? Jackass. You know?
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
I really liked him. I thought the actor did a great job.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the scarring the face thing, too, that was just like, really, wow. It was the only way that he could merge Crane and the Scarecrow together into one being is to scar his face up.
Right.
And become
no mask needed when you you know, turn your face into a mask.
Exactly.
I was so glad that Donna came back.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw her die, I was just like, why? Why would you kill off such a big character? But something told me that she would be back. But still, it was so good the way she did it. Like, they didn't rush it. It wasn't first episode like, I'm back. Let's all go to Walmart and buy bath towels. Like, they had to fight for it and they had to work at it. And that's what that show does really well, I think.
Yeah. I think I was a little bit surprised there wasn't more shock that she was back.
Yeah, they're like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? Well, anyway, you want to come help us do this thing? Like,
yeah.
Shouldn't you guys be like overjoyed and like running at me and hugging me and like telling me you miss? Oh, fine. I didn't miss you either.
Yeah. I mean, I think that almost to a humorous degree, it's like, nobody stays dead. You're like, oh, he'll come back, right? He might die, but he'll come back, right? There, we'll just find another Lazarus pit to throw him into.
I mean, well, so will the Lazarus pit evaporate and then keep raining down forever now?
No, I mean, I think I kind of feel like that was a one-time deal,
That's
right?
true, yeah.
That all of the water from the Lazarus pit, rained down, and it's now going to kind of like settle and drain and everything else like regular rain does.
Unless somebody was out there with a bottle, like catching it, and then close it up, and they like get shot in the arm. They're like, heal. Oh, good.
Yeah.
And just kept some of it. I don't know.
You never know. Anything is possible on the show.
Yeah.
I will say that, Crane ultimately getting, the punishment that he deserved, right? He ends up right back in prison again.
Yeah.
And he was sort of taking a victory lap. Like, I destroyed Gotham. I manipulated Jason. Almost like nothing had really changed. And he was taking his victory lap. And then Rachel steps in.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd been kind of wondering, what was she doing with that dark sludge that came out of the Lazarus pit?
It's Venom.
It absolutely looked like
that's what I thought.
Venom.
It was like, it's Venom. It's major crossover time.
I know. I will say it was rather disgusting. She's essentially like barfing up the darkness from the Lazarus pit and then shoving it down Craig's throat. And leaving him, I think maybe for the first time, truly terrified.
Yeah, I mean, he's instantly starts going crazy and just.
I thought, talk about some poetic justice right there.
That was great. I mean, and then he's actually like to the point where he's just rambling around, and like, good thing he's in a padded room because, geez, he's gonna like bash his head against the wall for like 6 years straight.
Yeah, if he wasn't crazy before, he is now.
He definitely is now. That's for sure.
And then the best part of the entire episode is that they're all getting on a bus and going back to San Francisco.
In a bus, and they're like, "Why don't I just ride this plane?" And like, I want to ride on the bat plane and all this. And you see poor little Tim Drake just like, "Bye, guys." And Robin's like, "You coming?" You mean it? Like, such a classic little like cheesy way to do it, but I like that. I like the twist. Like, they're teasing you that he's not going to be Robin, and then you're like, all right. But then he's going to be Robin at some point, so why not go ahead and be like, just kidding, come on, get on the bus, you're Robin now. Well, not quite yet, but he will be. He has to start training and all that, but still.
I think it's funny that how much Dick had really been against the whole idea of there being another Robin.
Yeah.
That he had been really hard on Bruce about, actively recruiting for somebody else to fill that spot. And now Dick is essentially taking on his own protege.
I think the difference, though, is like Bruce was always be like, "Hey, little kid, I have candy. I'm Bruce Wayne. Eat this peppermint. Now go kill that guy." Or not kill, but he would like just force him into it. With Tim, he did his own homework. He did his research. He knew how to save the day. He knew who this was, who that was. He's smart. He proved he's smart. And he proved that he's athletic, that he's got the willpower. That he has all this without being manipulated. So he doesn't really need to be like weaponized or controlled or any of the stuff that Bruce did to all the other Robins. So I think it's a little bit different. But I think there might be a point where Dick says, not says anything specific, but he's like, Tim, you're like, you need to try harder, and pushes him that he becomes Bruce. And he just is like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And I think that's got to happen at some point. It can't just be like, oh, come on, you're training. Yay, good job, Tim. High five. Here's a gold star. Like, no, there's going to be some conflict somewhere.
Right.
Has to be. But I love Titans overall. I've loved every episode I've seen, and I'm kind of sad that the season is already over. Like that went quick, super quick.
It really did.
Um,
I'm excited. There have been some guesses about what's coming for season 4. Some have mentioned that we might end up getting Red Arrow.
Okay, yeah, that's one theory going around. Gosh, there were so many. Who were the other big ones? There was like a couple of big names that we thought would be awesome. I can't remember anybody now. Wow, I'm blanking out. But I noticed there was like some Batman villains, I think, too, right? Like that. I don't want them to be too heavily focused on Batman again, but I don't want them to completely ignore the Batman stuff either.
Right. They definitely bring. They certainly have brought in Argus. Right. That's come into Gotham here
Argus.
at the end, and Argus may play a bigger role in the next upcoming season.
I think so. And I was going to say, like, what if John Diggle comes in, but it's a different Earth?
Right.
Still,
right.
It could be a crossover. I mean, he's been on every other show.
Yeah, I do wonder if Barbara Gordon and Oracle may end up playing a role in season 4.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think she'll be. I think maybe what happens, it won't be like Barbara's like, Oracle, help me. It's not like Oracle's going to be Gideon. I think that Barbara will be Oracle, and she'll just be like Googling, like, hold on, how to stop criminal. Oh, it turns out you have to kill him. Like, maybe not that simple, but I mean,
right.
Because that's how I remember her in every other version of the character. She's not like listening to the computer. She basically is the computer, but she's the one kind of with the intelligence. But yeah, I like the character. I like the girl that plays her. I like all of that. I think that's going to be great. And it was good to see like them get their success or their victory over the crooked GCPD. I thought that was great.
I'm glad that you brought that one up. One of my friends, he's a part of our group page, had made a comment about how he didn't like the fact that like it seems like every member of Gotham PD was corrupt. And while you could definitely that whole idea about how a few bad apples spoils the bunch.
Yep.
It seemed like it was the other way around, that most were corrupt and controlled by Crane, and there were only a few good ones who were left.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I thought that was a valid criticism.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah. We've never though seen any story really revolving the GCPD where there were lots of really good cops.
That's
whether
true
it's
too,
whether it's Harvey Dent or whether it is the police force or whether it's the Crows on Batwoman. It seems like it's a pretty consistent theme in the movies, in the comics, and in the TV shows that law enforcement in Gotham is pretty terrible.
It really is. I mean, there's so much going on in Gotham. It's like you almost have to be that gritty and kind of dirty to survive. So, I mean, just as a police officer in Gotham, you got all these villains and all these criminals at you. It's like, he's a cop, I'm going to kill him. It's like, no, I'll help you kill the other guy. And it's like, kill or be killed. It's like, that's what it should say on the Gotham sign.
I think it's true that if the GCPD were so good, they wouldn't need Batman.
Yeah. They're scared. And I think that's a lot of those officers that were under Crane that really followed along, because they could have all been like, you know what? No, screw you. And all shot him in the face at the same time. But they were scared, I think. And like fear, just listen to what Yoda says. And then, Yoda needs to be in Gotham. He needs to be assistant commissioner or whatever.
That would be quite the crossover.
Batman missing he is. Find him you must. But I'm in a wheelchair. Believe in yourself you do not. Like, no. I don't know. It's so weird to have it.
Baby Grogu ends up on Titans at some point.
Yeah, I was like, that could happen, but no. I really doubt it.
No, he gets trained by Luke and then ends up joining the Titans.
Now, Grogu could appear on the next Avengers. I mean, that's a possibility. But not really, because that was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So there's no way that they could meet up. All that happened before.
Yeah, time travel.
Hiro Nakamura comes in like,
Time travel.
I must help the baby Yoda. Come. And then he comes in there, Yatta! Did it, you did. Yatta! That would be amazing.
I don't think so.
Probably not. But yeah, that Titans is great, and there's not much else like going on right now other than
Stargirl.
Well, yeah, there's not much going on. Stargirl, no big deal. That show's awesome. I mean, I think I'm up to date on that because Courtney goes into the Shadowlands and pulls out everybody pretty much. That was a really good episode. I thought, no, this is going to be kind of boring because she's going to be wandering around the Shadowlands and just be like, where are you? Oh my gosh, it's all black and white. Oh, we're all happy. But it was so much more than that. It was so good. I love the way they had, they find Dr. Midnight. They find everybody. And then she has a chance to leave. Like, okay, we're out. Come on, Dr. Midnight, let's go. But no, we have to go help
Cindy.
Cindy. I was going to say the other girl. She like sacrificed or was willing to sacrifice herself to go save her, even though they were like enemies. And I thought that was a big move.
Right. I mean, I think that Courtney has always been this kind of paragon of optimism.
Yeah.
Right. I know that's not a thing, but she really is.
Should be.
She's this beacon of hope and optimism, even in a horrible, dark place. So I thought that was a moment that really needed to happen. And she had no reason to really want to go and save Cindy. Cindy has been nothing but terrible to her. But I think that one thing we realize is that both Cindy and Dr. Midnight understand aspects of how Eclipso works.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be really, really important in how things play out.
I love how she saved her too, because she was the last one, as far as a person, that was sort of the host of Eclipso. So, and she found out that like the original JSA killed the host, and so she wanted to be different. So I like that contrast in the story where she's like, "Oh, they killed him. I'm not going to let her die. I'm going to be better than them."
Yeah,
I really love that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of the OG JSA. And
got to see more Flash.
I think so.
I need to see that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Having
more John with the ship.
Yeah, I mean, just to see him on anything is great. But like, I love that version of Flash. I love. I was like, what's his name? Jay Garrick. I love Jay Garrick, and I think that's a great look. I think the classic Flash with the helmet, like, didn't matter if everybody saw his face, didn't care. Like, speed in, save the day. I love that. Now, I'm not too familiar with the rest of those characters. I mean, I'm more now than I was before because of Stargirl itself. But the original Alan Scott Green Arrow, Green Lantern, the weird red and green outfit like that. Seeing that guy, I'm like, who is that? But I know the name, and I know a little bit of the story. And then how cool was that Green Lantern moment where they used the ring to catch the scent of was it the shade? And then like they project the city map and it's like spinning and she's just like holding the ring. Like that was so cool to see that.
Yeah. I think they're really working on kind of building up that part. Being that the team is currently really fractured right now, they need something to bring them together. And I think that's going to really be an important part. Let's see. We saw the Shade, right? The episode prior. I don't know what happened to Shiny Knight.
Yeah, I really don't know.
He popped up out of nowhere, and we never really kind of found out why his memory was gone.
Maybe he got lost and doesn't remember where to go.
I don't know. They really do seem to be teasing this idea that something has happened where they're either not aging or something. It's not just the Shade who's 200 years old, but that all of them are amazingly well preserved. But we see the Shade, who after like stabbing them in the back, he ultimately sacrifices himself. He knew that that he was giving everything he had in order to bring them back.
Now, what happened with? I think I missed something because when they looked at the map, he was in two different places at one time. They go to the theater, and that's where he was, and they never
Right.
really mentioned the other location. So, what was the other location?
My guess is that they were simply seeing the Shade energy, right?
Could be. Yeah.
You know, and there could be his. I'm sure that his powers could be in more than one spot. Maybe it shows that he's not really dead.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I thought he was a copy. That's why he was so weak.
Right.
Like he copied himself.
Maybe
to
it's
try to save himself.
maybe it's a Lazarus pit. Maybe there's a Lazarus pit, and that's what happens.
I still think that there's like probably got to be more to that because we thought he was on their side, and he was basically until he like kind of screwed them all over and was like, "Ha ha ha! I tricked you into making me back to life," and then he's back down on his luck again. He's like, "I'll save your daughter's life," and now he's dead. But is he really? Because maybe he needed to do that in order to get stronger. Maybe bringing her back in gives him the purity back to being whole again. Who knows?
I think what we know about the Shade is that he was ultimately going to serve himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had tricked them in order to be able to heal himself.
Definitely.
That was the whole reason behind manipulating them. But he still had a code, right? His major reason for going against Eclipso was that Eclipso was going to hurt kids.
Yeah.
And so that was his big reason behind that. So I think he had a code, and I think at the end of the day, he died doing the right thing.
He really did, and I liked that character the whole time. We've seen different versions of the Shade. There was one on the Flash series. There was one, I think Smallville even may have had a version of that character. I might be wrong on Smallville, but I like the character overall. And I don't want to go on without mentioning the little creepy kid because I don't remember like his name. What was that character's name? Bruce. Was the kid's name Bruce?
It was Bruce.
Yeah. Also, I got confused with Batman, and in this show, I'm just like, wait, is it Bruce? Am I getting that right? That kid is creepy.
He's creepy good. Sometimes you wouldn't expect that kind of consistent acting ability from somebody his age, and yet he really does a fantastic job.
He does. And the more convincing parts aren't even the laugh, because the laugh is like, ha ha, hee hee. But it's when he's looking at him, it's like the weird way his eye can twitch or the way his like smile, like it's the creepiest character I've seen in any of these shows.
Yeah, I'm thinking in one sense, you see him and you think he looks perfectly innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But then we see enough of him to know that really the little boy is a mask, right? That Eclipso is wearing to hide his true form.
It sounds like Chris Hansen needs to talk to Eclipso because he's in that little boy and he just, what are you doing here? Nothing. I just left my keys in the car. I'm going to go get them. That's how you get rid of Eclipso. Just get Chris Hansen to come in and embarrass him away.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Chris Hansen.
So, I know. I feel like the one thing we need to talk about before we kind of wrap things up here for tonight is Alex Collins.
Yes. We talked about Dr. Midnight coming back, and then on this show, he will be back. And I want to say, was that 2 weeks from now?
It is November 7th.
Yes. It's going to be the Sunday after the finale of season 2 of Stargirl. We're going to talk to him more about like how he got involved with Stargirl, where he's going next. I mean, is he going to be a series as regular in season 3? which I believe he said he was, but
Yeah.
what he thinks his plans will be for that character moving forward, and how it's going to be to work with kids for the character itself instead of working with a team of adults from the past. Hopefully, he could tell us if John Wesley Shipp will be back on again, and tell him that we're the best ever, and to give us his phone number. And no, we start asking people for phone numbers, we're gonna never get guests again. But no, I think it's gonna be a great show. I think we're gonna have a fun time, and we've had nothing but fun times with every other guest we've had. And I wanted to actually point out too. I know Corey's like, don't put me in the spotlight, but he's been making our video shorts for YouTube. And that's another reason I kind of wanted to do a YouTube exclusive show. I mean, there was other reasons, but lately we've been putting out these YouTube shorts. And our newest round are featuring Eric Goins, who was the gambler in season 1 of Stargirl. And now that episode, for those of you who haven't seen it or listened to it, whatever, that was an audio episode only. There was no video to that. So what Corey did was he made this video and put it in and cut together. It was so good because we just had an audio file. That's all it was, black, a picture of Eric and then the sound. But Corey did such a good job at cutting that together and making these videos. I posted one, I believe, earlier today. I'm going to do one every day. And so we have about 8 of them, I think. So every day for the next week, we'll have those out. And then coming up after those will be, I'm excited to see how he does it, but we're going to have the clips of Mark Guggenheim. So hopefully we can get Mark back on again sometime soon too.
Yeah, it'd be great.
But we're excited to talk to Alex Collins, and I don't know much about that character. I mean, from what we've seen on Stargirl, is about it. That's all I really know of the character. But I'm excited. Yeah, because we know this will make 2 Stargirl characters we've had on the show.
We're kind of working our way through.
Yeah,
we're gonna get Breck on the show.
I'd be more excited to talk to Luke Wilson.
Yeah,
like, why is your brother funnier than you? Did you punch him and that's why his nose is messed up?
Right.
Right. But no, I mean, what's it like being brothers with the guy that like bossed around Loki? But it would be interesting to ask him like what it's like to be in a family with like Loki was a big, huge, thing in the MCU. Like it wasn't some small little thing. So having one brother in this MCU and then having one brother in this DC TV universe, like that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it makes for some great dinner conversation.
Yeah. And Jim Gaffigan too. Like, let's get him. Like, hey everybody, and he could be Thunderbolt the whole time. We'll get Corey to do a special effect if he can, like a pink thing running around the whole time. That might be reaching a little bit, but
nothing is off the table at this point.
I want to say a shout out here, like my buddy Sean Smith. He's popping in to say hello.
All right, hey Sean.
And I've been wanting to get him on the show actually, and I still want to do that, Sean. So we're gonna do it sometime. He's got I think he's got a very good story to tell. It's like the story of him, and I don't want to put any words into his mouth, but whatever he's comfortable talking about, I think it's an interesting story.
Cool.
I think he's got a lot to say. So hopefully we'll have that sometime soon. But it was cool to see him pop up. That's awesome. I think we've covered just about everything.
I think we are probably good.
We've got our fancy new video that goes out, and this time it's a little bit longer. So Corey has re-edited that. So I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Normally we would put up our Twitter handles and everything, but that's all 2 of our personal Twitters, the show Twitter, the show's Facebook page, the group Facebook, I believe, is in that, and the YouTube page here as well that you're already watching it on YouTube right now. But if you're watching this later, it may be on Facebook later. I don't know if we can upload videos later to Facebook. I don't know. This may be a special exclusive YouTube. So if you've missed it, then, well, you're not, I don't know. It's special. If you're watching this now, you're special. But yeah, stay tuned tomorrow for the clip 2 from the Eric Goins interview. And then next week, maybe we'll have some more Guggenheim clips. And then the next week after that, who knows? Maybe we'll have some Alex Collins clips. Because by that point, he'll be ready. And we'll be video instead of audio. But that's still, I'm so impressed with what Corey did with that that video. And if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out because
he's really got a gift.
He does. And I really can't wait to see what he comes up with next.
Yeah. Well, hey, this has been fun.
It has been. So yeah, you'll see the Twitter feeds. You'll see the Twitter handles coming up next. So just follow all of those Twitter handles. Go on to all those pages, like on all of them, share all of them, subscribe to all of them, and tell everybody. Go to your local library and tell your librarian to listen to it, watch it, make it mandatory. Call your state representatives and have them mandate it in all public schools. It's a little much, but I mean, come on. All you got to do is ask, right?
Yep. You never know until you try.
Exactly. All right. Well, you guys have a good night, everybody, and thanks for watching. Of course, Corey's here again. Great show. Night, guys. Good night, Corey.
Night, Corey.
And Sean's, I'm game for it. Absolutely. So we'll be talking to you soon, Sean.
Sweet.
I was ready to close, but everybody's popping up saying like, great show. Looking forward to next one. And tell all your friends, all of you, to watch and come on and talk. And we love the interaction. So keep the comments coming. And, you know, it's great. That's what I love about this show is like because if it was just us, like the Batman looks really cool. How do you like the trailer? I like it. What about the Flash? Yeah, like I love the Flash. Ha ha ha. Ew. Oh, Corey commented. Yay! You know, it's great.
It helps out a lot.
But yeah, follow all this Twitter stuff. Check us out. Subscribe. All that kind of stuff. I'm gonna go have a bite to eat and probably watch some reruns of something. I don't know.
I've got a plate of pork ribs ready to be devoured for dinner tonight. So
I need to distract you long enough to have them shipped to my house.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be very good by the time they get to you.
I mean, ice, I guess. I mean, dry ice. I don't know.
I love the idea that somehow you're going to take ribs from California and take them to North Carolina, where like barbecue was a thing. So
yeah, like why not just get them here?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like going to Pizza Hut and getting French fries.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good night. Enjoy the food, and I'm gonna go grab some leftover pizza that was destroyed by Pizza Hut. Still mad about that one, but it's fine. It's edible, kind of. But yeah, have a good week. We'll talk next week.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.